Be quick tonight.
It's good.
A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286. Patricia and David on a very wet day, although believe it or not, it's dry at the moment. Well, dry in the air. It's certainly very wet outside. We've had 56 millimetres of rain in this area in the last 20 hours, but boy, nothing compared to what they're getting on the east coast and Coromandel. Lots of roads closed over there. A few townships have been evacuated, and a state of emergency is again in place in Gisborne. Just shocking, shocking weather. If you want something to look at and make you feel better, look at our synoptic chart. You will see a low just sitting here, just sitting at the top of the North Island and not expected to move. So the flooding is going to get a lot worse over the next couple of days. Here at Gulf Harbour, it's 16 degrees at the moment because that's bringing in some decent warm air. 1007, steady on the bar, so it's not getting any closer, but just, and no wind. Very interesting. It's just quite pleasant if you don't mind the rain and the cloud and the grey. So the fire is on. The news, of course, today we woke up very early to look at the news from the Titan. And they have actually found the wreckage on the bottom of the seafloor, about 300 or so metres away from the Titanic wreck. And it appears now that there was a major catastrophic implosion, and the US Navy did pick this up not too long after they lost communication. So it didn't actually get down to the level of the Titanic before it just fell apart. The people would not have known anything about it, just disintegrated in microseconds. So a lot of effort went into all of that from the various nations involved, because there was a French person on board, and they've got a very interesting craft that could go down and have a look, and also a Brit and Americans and the two Brit Pakistani people. So yep, very sad day for those people, but I guess it is not unexpected in something as extreme as that. So that's the end of those 5 people and the submersible. We haven't got anybody on passage at the moment. We have an interesting report from Rubicon from Minerva. I see there's about 3 people have left Minerva today. They decided to wait until tomorrow because they had some lobsters, which put our sardine pasta in its place today, but sounds like a very good meal on board Rubicon tonight. Anyway, they reported that they did get the squalls. Had one this morning at North Minerva and a couple more throughout the day. Otherwise, clear, sunny and warm. And currently southwest 12 to 15 with some good gusts in the squalls. So thank you for that report. It's always useful to make sure, it's good for me to make sure that David can still predict properly. Otherwise I'd fire him. Anyway, unless there's anybody that wants to get in touch with us, there's nothing much more we've got here. In fact, it looks like until the next crew take off, there's still some stragglers to make use of the southwesterlies that I guess will come at some stage next week when this low does decide to move. But until then, there's nothing much more from us, unless anybody out there wants to ask something or make a comment. Please call now. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I can talk.
Hello, Matt. Rubicon, go ahead.
Nothing really, but on the news we heard tell that a yacht from Peru to Tahiti was sunk by 2 whales. People were picked up in a ship. Do you have any info on that?
Boy, you are very, very light tonight, Matt, which is quite unusual because I can normally copy Elizabeth quite well from there. There must be something amiss with the propagation, but I heard something about Peru, and I haven't heard the rest of it. Can you just check you're on high power and start again? Over.
Okay, maybe a little better. Yeah, a Canadian yacht en route from Peru to Tahiti evidently was sunk by two whales. And we heard this on the news, and I wondered if you had any more info, okay?
Oh, roger that, and yes, you did come up really well. There's been quite a lot of discussion on the air, and in fact, David reported that one on but the other ones that have been attacked by whales. These whales are getting quite aggressive. Most of them are on the coast of Spain, towards and down towards Gibraltar, where they have actually sunk a couple of yachts. They're getting very aggressive. There has been a theory that the mama whale evidently got hit by a boat and has taken vengeful action attacking the rudders. They say that if you are attacked by a whale, take off your autopilot and just leave your rudder not moving, because they seem to go for the moving rudder. But I think, David, you mentioned something about hang on, I'll pass the microphone. You mentioned it the other day.
No, I was just curious, Matt, about the possibility of coming into contact with a whale. You got to realize what those pressures are if you think about it. I'm an old diver, and I do things in pounds per square inch, but that communications was lost when they were down at about 10.
No, he's talking about the whale attack.
I'll talk about the whale attack in a minute. So the pressures at that point are over 5,000 psi, 5,000 pounds per square inch. So if there, in fact, was a contact by a whale, just even bumping that thing could have caused some type of something to do with the hull of that. It's not a sphere, and that always bothered me when I looked at it. But that implosion would have been instantaneous, and it was picked up. The U.S. Navy has got all over the sea bottom monitoring for enemy submarines, and they actually picked up the implosion on one of their sensitive devices. So, but anyway, yeah, my thought was it could have been a whale, or it just could have simply been that unit has made a number of trips and just gave up. Anyway, for you,
I've got it here.
Looking at your trip.
No. Oh, can we finish the story?
Oh, wait
first?
a minute. Trish wants to finish something here.
Yeah, let's just finish the story first before he gets on to weather. I did look it up, and there was one, but it's back in March, the 22nd of March. 4 people were rescued from a life raft after a whale crashed into their boat it was a Kelly Peterson 44 actually, called Rain Dancer, and that was between the Galapagos and French Polynesia. There's nothing that I can find about Peru to French Polynesia, but that was the one that you may have been talking about. There has been another one, actually only 2 days ago, that was off the coast of Spain. So yeah, there's been quite a few. So it's interesting, but they do reckon that there's this particular pod, and with the mama training the others to attack. Okay, now let's go on to David's favourite interest, which is weather.
I'm into whales too. Actually, a lot of these attacks were the killer whales, but there have been a couple of mentions of sperm whales getting involved in this too. So maybe they're teaching all the whales to be aggressive. Who knows? Not much you can do about it, that's for sure. Anyway, your ETA I have here of Wednesday morning looks like southwest winds about 10 to 15 as you get into Sabu Sabu. Halfway there, I'm looking at Monday. I'm guessing you'd be there about halfway on Monday. Winds also southwest, maybe 15 to 20 maybe 22, 23 knots like that. If you were up at around 20 south on Monday, yeah, I've got southerlies about 5 to 10. It's a little bit further up, a little less wind. But you really have to keep it moving because this low pressure area is going to be growing in size and it's going to be very, very nasty. So you've got to get north for sure. So getting up to Saddle Saddle by Wednesday, that's great. But boy,
Don't muck around.
don't muck around for sure, as Trish says. But you get down to about, if all you got to is 20 south by Wednesday, to give you an idea, you have gale force winds. So that thing is very, very nasty on its periphery as well. It's big. I can't believe how big it is in size. And of course, quite intense. The isobars are very, very close together. But your plan sounds okay. Wind directions are fine, and you should have no trouble getting up to Saddle Saddle. Just make sure you get there by around Wednesday.
And roger that, Dave. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Okay, and whilst David's been talking, I have in fact found what you were talking about. The headline is Danes from Denmark rescued after boat hits whale in the Pacific, and this was in fact today. 8 Danes were rescued after their sailboat capsized due to a collision with at least one whale in the Pacific Ocean, authorities said. A girl on the vessel used a satellite phone to call her father, who alerted Denmark's Search and Rescue Authority, JRCC, the Danish Defence Ministry said in a statement. The girl told her father that the 51-foot sailboat had capsized after colliding with 1 or 2 whales. So not an attack, but just a collision, the ministry said, adding that the 8 Danes were safe in the lifeboat. They were picked up by a fishing vessel between Peru and French Polynesia and later transferred to a container ship. The ship is scheduled to reach Papeete on June the 26th. So there we are. We'll be able to monitor it on the vessel finder. But that was a 51-foot sailboat. So, boy, it must have been one hell of a collision match. Over.
Yeah, roger that. That's kind of what we were thinking too, so when we heard it on the news. But it was very little information. So thanks for the update, okay?
Yeah, well, it hasn't got to our news here. That took a bit of finding on Google. Okay, yeah, it's funny the things we get. Mind you, the news today has been pretty much concentrated on our pathetic weather and the flooding and also the Titan submersible. Okay, is there anybody else wanting anything? Okay, nothing heard. We'll leave you all in peace and have a good night and have a good sail tomorrow, Matt and Elizabeth. This is Gulf Harbour Radio and we are clear. Oh, that's a quick one tonight.